You're listening to The World at 8 with Lynn Mozar. The World at 8, the number one in nationalist news.
Highlights of the news today: St George's Day, the 23rd of April. Celebrating our day today: 3 suspected homegrown terrorists detained at Heathrow Airport. Yet another illegal rapes British woman. 100 days to go to chaos, warns senior former police officer. Marine Le Pen slams the establishment with 20% of the vote. North Sudanese government starts attacks again on South. North Koreans promise special actions. Bahrain Grand Prix goes ahead. Thought for the day: boiling point. UK news. It is St George's Day and best wishes from our World at 8 team. There is still no sign of a national day off every 23rd of April, however. Meanwhile, the Liberal Telegraph newspaper is running a disgusting article saying that 25% of what it calls British people say that the St George's flag is racist. What we do know now is that a quarter of British people are either the liberal left or not indigenous to this country. Another paper says the Union flag is preferred. 3 men who had been living in the Small Heath and Alum Rock districts of Birmingham were detained when they disembarked from a flight from Oman. 2 men aged 33 and a third man aged 39 have not been named in the media. A police spokesman said 3 men from Birmingham were arrested last night on suspicion of possessing articles and documents with intent to use them for terrorist purposes overseas, contrary to Section 57 of the Terrorism Act 2000. The arrests made by officers from the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Unit were pre-planned and intelligence-led. It is widely thought they are men of Pakistani origin, similar to a man arrested last December by West Midlands Police. He was a 22-year-old from Pakistan detained at Birmingham Airport on suspicion of carrying a similar terrorist document. He was in the UK on a student visa and arrived in the UK on a flight from Dubai. He was handed over to the UK Border Agency to be dealt with. Another British woman has been raped by an illegal immigrant. The man, who is from Somalia, named as Abdi Karim Abbas Abdi Samad, aged 33. He raped a 24-year-old woman after gaining her trust by telling her he had just lost his job and was penniless. She took pity on Abdi Samad, who then raped her 3 times at her home, causing 17 separate injuries. This man, who had other convictions for GBH back in 2009, should have been deported 3 years ago, and is just one of the many criminals allowed to eat away at our society like a cancer. A senior police officer, David Gilbertson, has warned that looters cannot wait for the games to begin. Whilst the British police are reduced to using special constables in the game's security operations, this will leave certain rotten areas of our capital wide open to the sort of scenes we had last summer. The £553 million security operation is deeply flawed, taking manpower from all over the country to concentrate on the capital. More on Thought for the Day on this subject. Euronews. The first round of the French presidential election took place over the weekend. As expected, the incumbent, Nicolas Sarkozy, and the socialist candidate François Hollande came out on top and will go head-to-head in the second round on May the 6th. But the major surprise was that the leader of the far-right Front National party, Marine Le Pen, finished third on a 20%. Le Front National is giving the French a great opportunity to try and prevent the socialist candidate from taking over from Sarkozy. It is well known now in Europe that it is the socialists who encourage multiculturalism and encourage the destruction of an indigenous people. World news. At least 1 child has been killed in a bombing raid on a border town called Bentiu in southern Sudan. The raid was carried out by the North Sudanese government on the oil-rich southern part of the country. The North has started fresh attacks on the South, which threaten to escalate yet again, causing widespread misery and immigration to safer shores. Due to the failed North Korean rocket launch the other week, the North Koreans have promised special actions to take place. The promise was made by the military at a parade to mark the 100 years since the birth of dead leader Kim Il-sung. One British National Party spokesman commented, "Building bombs and military might while their people starve. Communism at its very best." The Bahrain Grand Prix took place after all amidst tight security this weekend. Our media, both BBC and ITV, are boiling up for yet another democracy protest summer in the Middle East. Egypt and Libya started out this way, showing injuries occurred while protesting, and Syria is well on its way to democratic rule not. When will the press understand, or perhaps they already do, that without doubt all these protesters are radical Muslims who want a radical Muslim state, not a democratic state? The Muslim religion and democracy simply do not mix. It would seem in the space of a couple of years these people want not kings, not colonels, and not dictators, however well-meaning or however long they have ruled, which is usually around 40 years. They want a totally cut-off Muslim enclave. My thoughts are with the Bahraini royal family. Take all the money, my friends, and get out of there. If your own people do not get you, our media will. Thought for the day. Boiling point. How can you call a flag racist? This grumpy old woman here is seething. What are these people talking about? Racist, apart from not existing as a word pre-1930, is a thought or deed. Can flags think? Well, obviously so, according to a quarter of Brits. Well, most people prefer the Union flag because the St George flag has been adopted by footballers. Apparently there were demos in Brighton against St George's Day today from many offside demographic communities. No change there. The rape of yet another woman by an illegal. Silly girl, fancy bringing someone like that into your home. It is sad that the only moral can be, do not open your heart or your home to people like this. Life and sympathy are cheap where they come from. They simply do not understand our society. Yet another cheerful message from our Muslim friends. Deport Qatada and we will bomb the UK. Such a peaceful message from Islam, you cannot say they are not true to type. The Olympics, oh yes. Of course it is well known that I do not support this farce in the UK. We cannot afford it, and it has not employed thousands from around the East End. Well, it has, but they're the immigrant and thousands living there now, and it presents a security risk like no other. A senior ex-policeman has stated that due to cutbacks with the force, they will have to use the special constables to bolster the men on the front line during the games. Now these special constables, bless them, want to be real policemen, but owing to the anti-white ethic, are on the periphery of the force, namely hard work, bad hours, low pay and low self-esteem. They can be anywhere between the ages of 18 to 65. Last month Operation Trafalgar was launched in our West End, New York-style policing crackdown on petty theft, unlicensed street traders, street drinkers and, wait for it, rickshaw drivers during this tourist season. At least, unlike before the Beijing Games, they are not beating dogs over a certain size to death and imprisoning all their black immigrant workers. A policeman named as John, who has been working for the Met for many years, is stated as saying the Games will lead to the perfect storm waiting to happen throughout Britain. Many of our cities are so overwhelmed with immigrants, both legal and illegal, who do not desire any form of discipline or order, that we are sitting on a powder keg of rival culture, most of which are completely alien to ours. Our police will have their hands tied by the human rights laws at this time, as they have with these laws since the immigration count went up years ago. Successive governments have brought into this law when they didn't have to. It has made the Brits look stupid and opened the way to danger for the indigenous natives of the UK. It is simple. In any other country, looters are shot, not arrested and given community service, but shot on sight, male, female, child, whatever. They are knowingly taking luxury objects they have not paid for, and worse, they are taking advantage of our soft society and police force. Most of our neighbours would do nothing but close their doors if shops were looted in their district, but it might make the local paper. Unlike America, we in the UK do not have the right to bear arms, which means we do not have the right to defend ourselves or our property. In fact, our police only shoot solicitors sitting in windows, not the real troublemakers, because they have rights we do not have. There was an article in the Mail on Sunday this week from my old friend Peter Hitchens. Now I know he's an ex-Marxist who is gradually realising the fact that unless the country is very careful and clever, we will all be Muslim in a few more decades. He rightly states that various governments have done nothing and indeed are still ignoring the fact. He bemoans the fact that it would be perfectly legitimate for a respectable law-abiding party to act now to prevent this. But instead, they leave the subject to steroid-swallowing nutcases like Anders Breivik or creepy opportunists like the BNP. I would be even more hurt but for the fact he has come right down to the usual low levels of mudslinging here. He has actually stated we handle the subject of Islamification of the UK, and he is right. We are in fact the law-abiding and respectable party that would ensure this country did not become Muslim. But of course we do not get any publicity without being creepy or odious. Bit of a double standard there, while slanging off the main parties at the same time. When will he realise that our result in Gore's book, notwithstanding the huge improvised black vote, was second? Marine Le Pen has come third in the first wave of elections in France. When will the establishment realise that our people are sick and tired of the threats to their religion and culture in their country? Grow up, Hitchens, and realise that if we need one evil to fight another evil, that is what will happen, and all the human rights laws and all the communists in the land will not stop it. The right is on the rise thanks to journalists, government officials and the civil service. The straw has come to break the camel's back, and it may well come under the guise of something completely different and very simple: the man in the street who will no longer be ignored. Now if you want a voice on World at 8, do send in your thoughts. Make them coherent, sane, and please no bad language or emotive phrases, and I will voice them for you. And finally, 3 teenagers who robbed a petrol station were caught after taking pictures of themselves with the money and cigarettes that they stole. The boys, 2 aged 16 and 1 aged 17, carried out the robbery with an imitation firearm at a 24-hour petrol station in Blackley, Manchester. They had covered their faces with scarves and hooded tops and turned their coats inside out in an attempt to disguise their identity. When police raided their homes, they found pictures on mobile phones and one that was being used as a computer screensaver that showed the youths with the stolen goods. They also found cash and cigarettes. The teenagers, who cannot be named for legal reasons, admitted robbery and possessing an imitation firearm at Manchester Crown Court and were sentenced to 40 months of detention. But one can see from their own pictures they are very, very dark. Actually, they're black. You have been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozart, and I wish you all a very good night.